Okay, let's start with something simple using a component that you already know. This is ma, horse. Let's look at these characters. So these 6 characters, they have totally unrelated meanings. So the first one is the yes-no particle, which we put at the end of a sentence to ask a question. The second one means mother. The third means number. The fourth is to scold or to tell off. The fifth is agate, it's a type of precious stone. And the sixth is leech, as in the kind of worm-like insect that sucks blood. In terms of meaning, these characters are very dissimilar. There's no pattern. In terms of pronunciation, though, they're all pronounced ma, though with different tones. Okay, so we have first ma, which is the yes-no particle. Then we have ma, which is mother. Then we have ma, number, ma, scold, ma, agate, and again ma, leech. In each of these characters, notice that the component ma, horse, is present. In these characters, ma, horse, is telling us how to pronounce the character. It's acting as a sound component. Because these characters have a sound component, we also know that these are sound meaning characters. You can't have one without the other. Let's use this to have a look at the meaning component at the same time. So in the first character, the meaning component is mouth, ko, which is used in the question particle, and it's basically telling us that this is connected to speech. Nearly all of the speech particles in Chinese use ko to mark them. N, ma, ba, ya, they all have ko, and that's just telling us this is to do with speech, it's something to do with the spoken language, and in this case it's a question particle. Ma is connected to the meaning component woman, and it's given its pronunciation by ma, although with a first tone, ma. There's no meaning relationship between the woman and the horse here. The mother isn't like a horse, but instead ma is just telling us how to pronounce it. Instead, the meaning is coming from the nu, which is the component for woman, as you know. You've seen this component before in how, mother plus child, which means good. In this case, mother plus horse. The ma isn't giving us meaning, but just the pronunciation. The third character, ma, is number, and on the left we have the component for stone or rock. This seems like a weird one until we realize that in ancient China, stone counters were used to count, to tally things up. I might place stone counters on a board in order to keep a record of how many sales I've made during a day if I was a merchant. Again, the ma here isn't related to the meaning horse, but instead tells us how to pronounce the character. Moving on to the fourth, we have ma. This has 2 ko, or 2 mouths above the ma, telling us again that this is to do with speech. These 2 mouths tend to be used in loud sounds, like the character for cry and the character for to shout or make an uproar, these 2 characters here. This makes sense because 2 mouths are louder than 1. We can actually imagine these 2 mouths yelling at each other, or in the case of scold, it's 1 mouth yelling at, say, another person. Once again, the ma here is not to tell us that there's a horse being scolded or that the horse is doing the scolding, but instead to give a hint to how we pronounce the character, which in this case is ma, falling tone. The 5th character here is ma, which is agate, which is a type of precious stone. On the left we have wang, which is the meaning component for king. It's also connected to royalty. Wang is often used in connection with treasure and precious things. In fact, it appears in both the characters for treasure and precious. Again, on the right, the ma, the horse particle, is just telling us how to pronounce it. In this particular case, it just so happens that the pronunciation of agate is exactly the same as the pronunciation of horse, ma, third tone. The 6th and final example here is leech. On the right we have the sound component, ma, telling us that the pronunciation of leech is exactly that, it's ma. On the left we have a component you might not know yet, but it's the component for insect. This is connected with the leech being a type of worm. I don't know if it's a nematoid or what type of exact insect it is, or if it's an insect at all. But for the ancient Chinese scribes, it was close enough. It was something that crawled along the ground, and therefore they used the component for insect